And then we are not sure, but from a time perspective, we might not have enough time to discuss all the questions, but you're more than welcome to type in your questions in the chat. And I make sure that all the questions, even when we can't answer it tonight, because it might be that we get bombarded with too many questions, we make sure that you get the answers to it. So I'm the facilitator here a little bit in the background, and I make sure together with Mariana, I just give you now a task, that we check in with the questions all the time so that we don't miss any questions. And logically, we write down who had the question so that we always go back to you. So good evening, everybody, to our special call tonight, It All Matters. So it's about the science of physiology, thinking, and the behavior. What influence actually has sleep, water, protein, digestion, physical activity, calorie intake, and eating schedule? What effect has it basically on your brain function? And just look that we are muted when we have background noise kindly. Okay, so let me share the presenters quickly with you tonight. So we have 3 presenters tonight. The absolutely extraordinary Dr. Mariette Fourier, who is really an expert in her field, just got requested from the US to attend a very special event with her expertise in Spain this year. And we are privileged to have her here on the call tonight. Then somebody who has already 13 years experience in the field of nutrition in general, also from a couch potato going now to a highly active person, Liesel Jardim, and myself with 28 years experience in the nutrition field and with own experience actually on my body as well. But without any further ado, let me quickly introduce you to what we're talking tonight about. And I said it already, we're going actually in a 7-step way from the digestion to the protein, to the water, to the calorie intake, to the daily schedule, to activity and to sleep. So it's about the nutritional psychiatry, neuroplasticity, inflammation, the microbiome, nutrient density, food categories, connection, and eater evolution. And it might sound a little bit weird for you. It might sound for some of you completely logical, depends on your background and your knowledge. But I can tell you, we find a way tonight that everybody really gets out of this call what you're looking for. So without any further ado, over to our first part actually, where we want to talk about the digestion. And the digestion, when you just look quickly at the picture on the right-hand side, I even don't want to read everything for you because my 2 other experts will still bring their way of thinking here in. But what can we expect when we heal the gut? Look at clearer skin, reduced seasonal allergies, lower risk of disease, improved cognitivity, improved absorption of critical nutrient, less anxiety and depression, and stronger immune system, reduced inflammation and pain. It's absolutely incredible. So this is why the first part when we talk about digestion and the gut is so critical. So without any further ado, over to our expert, over to Dr. Mariette Fourier.
Thank you so much, Bjorn. It's a wonderful privilege to be on the call tonight and to actually share our passion about nutritional psychiatry and also the gut-brain axis. So having said that many people are not aware of gut health and the gut-brain axis and the importance of gut and the microbiome in influencing the interactions between a healthy mind, a healthy brain, and a healthy body. So the field of nutritional psychiatry is finding that there are many consequences and correlations between not only what you eat, how you feel, and how you ultimately behave, but also the kinds of bacteria that lives in your gut. So the microbiome is the collection of organisms, mainly bacteria, that lives in your gut, mostly in our colon and small intestines. And the microbiome is involved in regulating our immune system, very important, and really more important, involved in inflammation. I just don't know whose microphone is open, Bia, so I just want to check that. Okay, wonderful. So The microbiome is involved in regulating our immune system and really, very importantly, involved in inflammation. We also increasingly understand this gut-brain axis, which is the way that gut health informs our mental health. Very exciting. And that is affecting mood, cognition, anxiety, and so much more. It is a very exciting and cutting-edge area of nutritional psychiatry research. So coming back to inflammation, it is one of the currents that's really pushing our health towards very dangerous territory. Why do I say that? Inflammation is driving obesity, diabetes, and for a lot of people, inflammation is driving depression, anxiety, and cognitive fog. This used to sound like an aspect of the wellness world, but in all aspects of medicine, whether it's integrative or conventional, inflammation has become a huge and important concept. We know food choices are one of the major factors driving inflammation. So that's a great intervention for us in mental health as well. And this is so exciting. So subsequently, many of us are suffering from malnutrition, depression, anxiety, and mood disorders, basically due to an unhealthy lifestyle. So a healthy mind makes your body work better. Why? Due to a healthier brain. And then in return, a healthy body improves your mental well-being. So together, all of these three areas create one unit called the mind, brain, body, or nutrition connection. And it involves a back and forth sharing or participation in a mutually shared experience. So these encounters, also referred to as serve and return interactions, are so essential in being building blocks for brain development and then also for social fluency. The importance of holistic well-being is encapsulated in the interconnectivity of these aspects and need to be explicitly understood by us being the social community. So, where do we start? What do we need to tell ourselves? Liesel, may you please help me out here?
Thanks so much, Mariette. Yeah, look, I think you covered a couple of really key points there, but it comes down to you really are what you eat. And unfortunately, what we eat in private is what we end up wearing in public. So I want you guys to work with me on an analogy here that we're going to carry through the presentation this evening. And that analogy I want you to think of is that your body has its own little toolbox on the inside. And when you wake up in the morning and what you eat throughout the day, you're going to be filling this toolbox with specific nutritional tools that your body is going to be using. And it's about having the right tools for the right job. And your body can only use what you feed it. So it's really important that you start your day right and start eating the right foods. But this whole process actually starts already with digestion and making sure you eat the right foods in the right balance that will help you support your bodily functions. So you have this task to fill up your toolbox with all the tools that you need to perform specific physiological functions that we're going to be touching on in the talk tonight, as well as support behavioral functions and have enough available of the things that your body needs immediately for immediate use and uptake, but also that it needs to store throughout the day that you're going to be using when you go to sleep at night. So, one of the key things you can focus on when it comes to digestive health is to ensure that you're getting a sufficient intake of fiber. Fiber is really critical. So it's one of those key components that you need to focus on and include in your nutrition. And science shows us and research shows us that I don't know who's live there that needs to mute themselves.
I'm busy with muting just now.
Thanks, Bia. So, you need to make sure that you're getting enough fiber in. And research and science shows us that people actually eat way too little fiber. And especially in the Western diet, we're not getting sufficient fiber. So one of the ways in which you can obviously increase your fiber intake is by eating a range of colorful fruits and vegetables. That's a great way to start, focusing on whole foods. The problem that most people have, though, is that they're not eating enough of it. If you really want to get an essential fill of the good kinds of fiber that you need for great digestive health, you need to be eating around 30 servings and 30 different types of fruits and vegetables throughout the week. So for most people with busy lifestyles, this becomes a problem. And this is where supplementation can really play a critical role and make the job a little bit easier to make that happen. So I'm going to cover a couple of Herbalife's fiber solutions with you guys this evening. Starting off with multi-fiber on the left of your screen there. one serving of that is only 18 calories. So this is the important part, especially if you're a client who's focused on weight management. You want to get the fiber in, but you want to be cognizant of the amount of calories you're taking in as well. So the multi-fiber has got 5 grams of fiber per serving and only 18 calories. The other important factor, and this is what Herbalife does, they don't just say, hey, let's develop a product with fiber because we know people need fiber, and then they just chuck whatever fiber in there. They focus on the latest research and science, and they know that people need soluble as well as insoluble fiber. So to explain that simply, soluble fiber is the fiber that gets absorbed or that absorbs water. It also absorbs the fluids in your intestine, and it creates a gel-like substance. And the good bacteria in your gut feeds off that. It also gives you a feeling of fullness. So if you're on a weight management program, fiber actually becomes an essential part. Insoluble fiber, you need to imagine it's almost like a broom in your digestive system. It helps with waste elimination. So one of the things that it does is it helps the passage of food throughout your digestive tract, but it also adds bulk to your stool. So it helps to get that waste out of your system much faster. Then another product I want to focus on is a product called BioAccess. It's quite a recent addition to our product range. And I actually love, when Mariette and I started preparing for this presentation and she started talking about the gut-brain axis, I said to her, how clever that Herbalife actually called it BioAccess, because they understand that connection. I don't know if that is why they called it that, but I'm taking that one on their behalf and saying that they probably did. So the BioAccess contains probiotics as well as prebiotic fiber. Again, 2 things that need to work together, because the probiotics are like the good bacteria that you have in your gut. But for them to thrive and survive, they need food, and their food is the prebiotic fiber. And this is what Mariette referred to. Most of us are unaware of the gut health and microbiota impact and how that impacts our gut and our brain connection. Now, another critical component to fiber and your body to be able to absorb fiber is you need to be hydrating properly. And a lot of people struggle with the palatability or the taste of water, and that's why they don't drink it. So we've got our herbal aloe concentrate, which is super low in calories as well. Very low in sugar. So even if you're someone who has concerns around sugar, you'll be fine to use this. It's a great way to flavor your water. So if you struggle with taste, find a healthy way to flavor your water, and the herbal aloe concentrate is really great for that. So now we're going to take a look at another essential nutrient that your body needs for this healthy gut-brain connection, and that is protein.
Yeah, and one of my favorite topics, I must say, protein, because when I learned about protein, how important it is and what an impact it has in our body, you see it on the right picture already a little bit. So it's so important to have the right amount of protein, to understand also the difference between the animal and plant protein, and when to eat, how often to eat basically protein. It's not done with one big steak, but more about that. And this is maybe I want to just throw in between. We might not all the essential questions tonight, so don't worry about that. We go to specialize it later, how you basically can get the results you're probably aiming for, but we want to give you the broader overview tonight. So Dr. Mariette, is there anything really when it comes to protein, is that important for the brain side as well? Or is it just for the muscle?
Indeed not so, Bia. And it would be such a great pleasure for me to share tonight protein and the brain. So getting back to proteins, they are literally the building blocks of life, as you have rightfully stated. Every cell in the human body contains protein. The basic structure of protein is a chain of amino acids, and I'm sure many of you are well versed with the term amino acids. You need protein in your diet to help your body repair cells and also to make new ones. Proteins thus gives us the raw materials that make up all of our body tissue. And next to water, protein makes up the most of our body weight. So muscles, organs, hair, nails, lots of hormones, red blood cells, the all-important oxygen carriers, and the brain are all composed of protein. So it's obvious, Bia, why protein is such an important part of our diet. For a healthy, alert, ever-growing brain, we need a balance of lean protein, good fats, and a complex carbohydrate intake along with plenty of water. So now proteins in our diet surely affect brain performance. Why? Because they provide the amino acids that make up our neurotransmitters. Think of neurotransmitters as these biochemical messengers whose job is to carry signals from one brain cell to another. These brain cells then transmit various signals to the different parts of the body to carry out their individual tasks. The better these messengers are fed, the more efficiently they deliver the goods. So, you can see why it is so important to be eating plenty of good protein. Without it, messengers won't be working fast enough to keep your mind and memory sharp. Then again, if you didn't know this, protein is also essential for our happiness. When we don't eat enough good protein, the brain can't produce enough neurotransmitters such as serotonin, which is one of the main chemicals which regulates our moods. So some doctors practicing in natural medicine, they believe that amino acid therapy is more effective in some cases than the traditional drugs that are used to treat depression. Amazing. Eating good sources of protein helps to boost these levels of serotonin and also dopamine. And this is really important as these help to boost energy, mental clarity, regulate pain, reduce anxiety, initiate deep sleep, and basically make you feel happier as well. So, Liesel, could you kindly scaffold this concept of protein and the brain to nutrition?
Yeah, no, thanks, Mariette. Again, there's a couple of really key things that you touched on there, and what I love about what Herbalife as a company has managed to get right is that they understand and cleverly integrate, not just into their products individually, but taking into account how these products need to work together to help us to get optimum results. They focus on those key aspects to make it work. And there's a couple of things that we need to focus on. We need a sufficient intake of our macronutrients, which are our carbohydrates and our fats and proteins specifically that we are touching on now. Hydration, which we're going to cover shortly. Also the presence of those amino acids that you mentioned that are needed as the building blocks of all our cells and those important messengers, those neurotransmitters. And like Mariette rightly said, proteins are essential for our happiness. But it can be quite daunting to try and figure out how much protein should you eat, where should you incorporate it, how often should you have it. So a lot of people struggle with that. So Herbalife tries to help out with things like that, where they come up with a lot of different solutions that you can implement for your lifestyle. So if you are someone who struggles to manage to eat a healthy, well-balanced breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Herbalife has solutions for that. And they're well-balanced meals that contain the right amount of protein that you should be consuming at a meal like that. There's savory solutions, there are sweet solutions, depending on what your taste is. And there's also, they even take it a bit further because they know that people might have concerns regarding certain types of proteins. So they even have solutions available that cover all types of protein that are good proteins that the body can use. And they also look at things like allergens or people's intolerance to digest certain types of protein. So if you have a concern around those things, then chat to the person who invited you onto the call because they are bound to be the right solution for you. So apart from covering your main meals, again, Herbalife looks at what you need to do properly throughout the day to really support a healthy lifestyle. So they understand that snacking is a big thing for people. So instead of running to the shop and buying snacks that are unhealthy and that aren't really going to serve you a purpose, and remember your toolbox, we want good quality tools in the toolbox, right? We don't want junk in the toolbox. So there's snacking solutions as well. Again, lots of sweet and savory options. We've got protein bars that vary in protein content as well, because it depends on your personal needs, how active you are. We've got express bars. We've got protein chips, which is one of our savory options, as well as the roasted soybeans. We've got a gourmet tomato soup. So again, if you don't feel like chewing something and you prefer to have, heading into winter now, a nice warm bowl of soup, you can do that, and it's got the right amount of protein in. And then a third step that they add is they really look at personalization, because the amount of protein that I need as a person with my activity levels compared to Bia, compared to Mariana, compared to Natalie on the call this evening, we all differ. So some people require higher protein needs, and if you need to add on or supplement your protein intake, Herbalife has solutions for that too. And then they also understand lifestyle behaviors. There's a lot of people that enjoy having a coffee on a daily basis. They like going to their local coffee shop and ordering a coffee. But most of the times, those coffees that people have it's void of proper nutrition. There's lots of sugars and fats, especially if you're having your flavored coffees and things, and they don't really serve a purpose. So it's what we call empty calories. So Herbalife said, hang on, if someone's going to drink coffee, let's help them with that, and let's boost their coffee for them a little bit with protein. So Herbalife developed one of my favorite products, which is a high protein iced coffee, which is not just great in summer, it's actually great in winter too, if you just heat it up slightly, and you've got a nice protein boost there to sort out your coffee craving and give you something that your body can actually use. So now that we've covered digestion and protein, this actually leads beautifully into our third tenet that we want to cover this evening, and that is hydration.
Thank you, Liesl. Thank you, Mariette. So yeah, water is so critical as well. And just take note quickly, it's important for the brain, it's for the body temperature, the blood, it removes waste. So if you don't drink water, we don't get, I like to say always the rubbish we don't get out of the body, if I may say it like that in my very simple English. And it's also helping to convert food into energy, but there's so much more to it, especially when it comes to the brain. So I just want to hand over to you, Mariette, to don't lose time hearing about your expertise.
Yes, thank you, Bian, Liesl. This is also one of my favorite topics to speak about, and the one all-consuming slogan, the neuroscience of thirst. Isn't it beautiful? So what does water do for the brain? So research rightfully shows that there is a close link between drinking water, being hydrated, and brain function. Our need for water, listen carefully, is as omnipresent and critical as our need for food or oxygen. It's an essential element that keeps our bodies working normally. The craving to pick up a beverage when we're feeling thirsty might feel intuitive, but our bodies rely on an intricate set of biological processes to make sure we stay properly hydrated. Since the brain cannot store water, and you are constantly losing water through perspiration and other body functions, it is really essential that you continuously, throughout the day, hydrate. How does this translate into what proper hydration then can do for you? When your brain is functioning on a full reserve of water, you will be able to think faster, stay focused, and experience greater clarity and creativity. And I think that is essential human skill that we all need throughout the day. So the slightest bit of dehydration, the opposite of hydration, can affect how well you and your brain are functioning. So brain cells and nerve transmission requires a lot of energy of water, Bia, like you said, and it's an important component in providing that electrical energy. On the other hand, mental symptoms of dehydration might include depression, afternoon fatigue, sleep issues, the inability to focus, and a lack of mental clarity, sometimes referred to as brain fog. In addition, hormone and neurotransmitter production also requires water. Can you see how important it is? Hormones and neurotransmitters control our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So your brain needs to stay hydrated because water helps to balance your hormone levels. It plays a role in, like we said, producing neurotransmitters and hormones, and it is also necessary, very interesting, for lowering your cortisol levels. It also maintains the fluid levels that protect your brain and spinal cord from trauma and injury. It maintains neurogenesis, that is the process of creating new brain cells, and overall brain cell health, including cell production, function, and longevity. It also flushes out toxins and metabolic waste that accumulates in the brain. And lastly, it maintains proper blood circulation and transport, very important, vitamins, minerals, and oxygen to your brain. So as hydration levels dip, you can now imagine brain functions begins to suffer. This is why dehydration is so closely correlated with poor brain health. and why neuroscientists and brain health experts recommend increasing your fluid intake to support and enhance your learning, your thinking, your focus, and so much more. Still not convinced to drink your desired volume of water a day? Let me tell you, if you are 1%, only 1% dehydrated, you will likely have a 5% decrease in cognitive function. If you are 2% hydrated, or dehydrated rather, short-term memory and focus are compromised. And oh boy, in a professional life, you don't want to have trouble with math computations. Back at you, Liesel. Thirst is the desire to drink. And it's not only driven by physiological cues, but also behavioral cues. Please tell us more.
Thanks, Mariette. So with everything we've shared, and hopefully you guys are still with us and paying attention and starting to realize that each one of these principles that we've covered with you this evening cannot be seen in isolation. They actually all need to work together for you to function properly. And, you know, it starts with digestion. But none of those things can work properly if you aren't hydrated. And you want to avoid getting thirsty, because by the time you get thirsty, you are already dehydrated and your brain function is impaired. And for those of you who are on weight management programs, water is really critical, because poor hydration actually leads to increased levels of cortisol, and cortisol triggers fat storage. So you want the opposite of that, right? So water is really, really important, and also for that all-important waste elimination aspect. But from a practical and behavioral point of view, what I think the biggest challenge we find as coaches is that people struggle to drink water because of the palatability, and because they don't like the taste, they end up forgetting to drink as well. So Herbalife found ways to make sure that we can assist clients in making water more palatable without adding a ton of unnecessary empty calories. And because if it tastes good, you'll want to drink more of it. So then that sorts out the forgetting to drink part 2. So as I mentioned earlier on, and Herbalife scales their hydration products, by the way. So depending on your activity levels and your personal goals and your needs, from the left to the right, the calories and things will slightly increase. So as I run through the products, you'll get to see how Herbalife actually focuses on giving you a little bit more in case your body requires more. So starting on the left with the herbal aloe concentrates, I'm not going to run through all the details with that. I touched on that earlier on, but this is a great way to add it into your water, and it tastes amazing. I love the aloe. It's a great way for me to flavor my water if I'm having an inactive day. Next to that is the instant herbal beverage, or as we like to call it, our Herbalife tea. This one has a little bit of extra caffeine in it. It's got 85 milligrams of caffeine, and this really helps to increase alertness whenever you need it. So if you struggle with focus and brain fog and those kinds of things, you can hydrate and then also give yourself a bit of a mental and clarity boost. Now we start moving on to the bigger brothers in the hydration range. And in the Herbalife 24 range, we've got the Hydrate sachets. Comes in a powder form. You just add it to your 500 mils of water. But in case you're a little bit more active, or if it's a very hot day, for instance, you tend to perspire, so you tend to lose minerals. So this one is high in vitamin C, but it also contains those electrolytes, specifically sodium, calcium, and magnesium, but it's still a nice low kilojoule drink for you to enjoy. It also is a great source of supporting B vitamins, including B1 and B12, and that is very important for proper cell function. So this is a great way to boost your hydration. And interestingly enough, when we've had challenges with clients who say, but I am drinking the right amount of water, you know, I'm drinking my water consistently throughout the day, but I'm still struggling to be properly hydrated. It's often a shortage of minerals, because without having the right mineral composition in your body can't really absorb the water into your cells. So Hydrate is then a great solution that we offer to clients and say, just have 1 or 2 of these sachets per day and let's see. And then we can immediately see when we do their assessments if there's a change in their water levels in their body. Then moving up there for the people who are a bit more active. So if you are exercising, say, for less than an hour, the CR7 is a great product. It's an electrolyte solution. But what's awesome about this product is not like your typical sports drinks that you find on the shelves. Number one, it doesn't have any added sugars. It's tested by Informed Sport. So even if you are a competitive or a professional athlete, these products get tested for banned substances. All of the products in the Herbalife 24 range are tested, so you don't have to worry about any ingredients causing you hassles if you have to go for those random tests. But this is a hypotonic drink, where most of your drinks that you buy off the shelf are isotonic drinks. So a hypotonic drink is actually designed to get your body to push water into your cells. It's a very simplified explanation I'm giving now, but that's the best way to understand it. So it actually helps you to hydrate faster. And as Mariette mentioned earlier on, water is a nutrient transporter. So the faster you get the water back into your cells, the better your body can circulate nutrients around your body, which means you perform better. This is also very high in vitamin B1 as well as vitamin B12. And it already contains a little bit of carbohydrate, because if you are more active, you need to replenish your carbohydrate stores. Then the big brother in the range is the Herbalife 24 Prolong. This one doesn't just have a carbohydrate mix, maltodextrin specifically, but it also contains a bit of whey protein, because if you're an endurance athlete and you're doing endurance sports, like you're running a marathon or a half marathon, or you're cycling a long race like the Argus or Cape Town Cycle Tour, you're going to need a little bit more, because your body starts running out of those resources. So it's also got vitamin C added in, as well as your B vitamins, including B1, B3, B6, and B12. So again, based on what your needs are, Herbalife has the solution and can scale it for you. So Mariette, as you rightly said, thirst is definitely the desire to drink, but it's important to understand that it starts with a change in behavior. If you don't change the behavior, you're not going to improve your hydration. And you want to improve your hydration because that results in a sharper, more creative and focused you. So this leads now next into our next session, which is our next slide, basically, where we're going to be focused on a lot of the different types of behaviors that you really need to implement to help you to lead a healthier lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Liesl and Mariette. And now we come actually to a topic which I underestimated completely when I was not knowing everything what was shared tonight so far, and this is the calorie intake. So I was always thinking I eat healthy, but didn't know that I needed basically bring it together what the amount of calories my body can consume. So calories come in healthy and unhealthy packages, and we need to get actually as much as possible from the healthy side into our body, but also healthy food comes also with some quite high calories sometimes, and this is where I struggled when I was younger to get the balance right. So either I had more calories or I had more of the...
Wie die yskas oopgelos? Ja, definitief jy.
I think this was not related to us. I guess everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can, Bia. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. So it is about the right amount of calorie intake, but at the same time, we need it together, bring it together with the body's need. And this is the best actually also with a daily shuttle. So you get actually now a double whammy where we need to pack it together. What does the body need into a daily shuttle? And one thing I just want to say at this point quickly, it's not that you do all the time everything 100% right, but what we are aiming for, when you get 80% right, the body excuses also certain things you like to have, but might be not on the healthier side. But we need to understand what the body needs and mainly give the body the right thing. What are your thoughts about that, Mariette?
Thank you so much, Bia. Yeah, this is also very close to my heart. And I will be discussing then the calorie intake relating to the daily schedule and the brain, and then absolutely linking it to nutritional psychiatry. So I want us all to think about this. Your brain is always on. It takes care of your thoughts, your movements, your breathing, your heartbeat, your senses. It works really very hard 24/7. Even when you're asleep. So this means your brain requires a constant supply of fuel. That fuel comes from the foods you eat. And what's in that fuel, it makes all the difference. Put simply, what you eat directly affects the structure and function of your brain. And ultimately, your mood. So like a car, let's use that analogy. Your brain functions best when it gets premium fuel. Eating high quality foods that contain lots of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants nourishes the brain and protects it from oxidative stress. Now, that is the waste that is produced when the body uses oxygen, which can damage cells. Unfortunately, just like a car, your brain can be damaged if you ingest anything other than premium fuel. If substances from low premium fuels, such as what you get from processed or refined foods, if those get to the brain, it has a little ability to get rid of it. So diets that is high in refined sugars, for example, are also harmful to the brain. In addition to worsening your brain's regulation of insulin, they also promote inflammation and oxidative stress, as we have mentioned. So multiple studies and research have found a correlation between a diet in high refined sugars and impaired brain function, and even a worsening of symptoms of mood disorders such as depression. So it makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you as well. If your brain is deprived of good quality nutrition, consequences are surely to be expected. But what is interesting is that for many years, the medical field might not have fully acknowledged the connection between food and mood. So coming to nutrient density, it's one of the tenets of nutritional psychiatry. It is the only reason to count calories, PR, as you have said. Calories don't give us a lot of information about food, just the amount of energy they have and in calorie counting. So let's think about this. A can of soda and a kale salad are more or less equal in calories. But nutrient density allows us to understand what we are getting for that caloric load. What does that 100 calories then actually give us? At the center of the antidepressant food scale is the idea of nutrient density. Which foods have the most important nutrients to fight depression per calorie? That is so exciting. So that is the concept of nutrient density. Another nutritional psychiatry tenet is food categories, and this entails that instead of focusing on a single food, we want to focus on food categories. So instead of kale, we might think about leafy greens. Instead of just wild salmon, we might think about the food category of seafood. And then in nutritional psychiatry, we work with individuals to help them then diversify where they get those nutrients, and also allow people to focus on making little steps, whatever that may be within a food category. Another example, maybe you don't like almonds, but you are willing to try pumpkin seeds, or maybe you really don't like black beans, but you love lentils. So these are just some of the food category choices that you might be interested in. So food categories allow us to be more creative as we think about behavioral change, like Liesl mentioned, and food changes. I also want to highlight neuroplasticity here. It is the new science that your brain grows, changes, and repairs itself. The BDNF, which is the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is the exciting molecule that helps our brain to grow and to repair itself. So things like nutrition and lifestyle choices are really involved in the BDNF expression. So, neuroplasticity is one of the ways that the research indicates that nutritional psychiatry helps us heal our brain and then also support mental health. Start paying attention to how eating different foods make you feel. This is the invitation tonight. Not just in the moment, but the next day is also truly important. Try eating a clean diet for 2 or 3 days. That means cutting out all processed foods, refined foods, and foods high in sugar. See how you feel. Then slowly introduce foods back into your diet one by one, and then see the contrast. So when some people go clean, they cannot believe how much better they feel, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, and how much worse than they feel when they reintroduce these foods that are known to enhance inflammation. Liesl, maybe you can also tell us more about nutrition and lifestyle choices.
Thanks, Beth. I'll gladly do that, because this is the exciting part for me as a coach. You're starting to see how our talk is progressing tonight, where we focused in the first half on the physiological factors that you need to focus on. But now we're getting into the real nitty-gritty behavioral side of things. How? And this is where we find people struggle the most. This is where they get lost, because they learn, they educate themselves, they find out, okay, I need to make these changes, but then they think, I have no idea where to start. I don't even know what to do. And they just feel overwhelmed and they end up making no changes whatsoever. So behavioral change can be hard, but the great news is you don't have to do it alone. So your Herbalife coach doesn't just say, okay, well, you want to lose weight, so, you know, I suggest you use this. We actually do wellness assessments with you. We run through a couple of key questions. We try and understand what it is that you struggle with the most, apart from your goals. Your goals is one thing, but we want to know what it is that you struggle with. What is it that you're not getting right? What is your daily schedule like? So that we can show you how you can start to make simple changes on a daily basis to get the right nutrients in. And we have creative ways, if you have a very busy schedule or you're in and out of meetings the whole time, to make sure that you can still get the meals in as and when you need them. So this is where your coach is really going to play a really important role to help you to get that right. That combined with Herbalife really designing and developing their products in such a way that they make sure they cover all the essential nutrients that you need. So looking at the calorie density or the nutritional density of the products that you're eating, you don't have to worry that it's not balanced. It is there. So the nutrient density is there. Added to that as well, Herbalife has a brilliant nutrition philosophy. If you look at the image there on the right, it's not just focused on nutrition. Herbalife understands that they need to look at your entire lifestyle and that you need to be coached and supported and guided on how to make a lot of other little changes as well to support you on your journey towards living your best life. So Herbalife also really, you know, if Herbalife was a company focused on just punting the next buzzword with products or in the nutrition side of things, we wouldn't even be having this conversation with you guys this evening. So nutrition education is a big part of what we do, and Herbalife follows the principle of eater revolution in nutritional psychiatry. They understand that we as people, we grow and evolve as eaters. Research changes, evidence around nutrition changes all the time, and they don't get stuck on the concepts that got them started. They keep on evolving and changing along with it as well, and this is why they've been around for more than 40 years. And they consistently regarded as the one nutrition company in the world. So they know that we need to keep mental health in mind when we approach food, because as Mariette pointed out, good food equals a good mood. So this now brings me to those last two key behaviors that we need to focus on. And you can already get a clue with the balanced nutrition wheel there on the right-hand side. There's only two things left there that we haven't covered, and that is exercise and sleep. You're on mute, Pia.
Myself, where can I unmute myself here? I'm sitting here in awe and listening. Yeah, quickly, activity is important, but we are not talking about that you need to sign now the gym contract. I think this is often misunderstood when it comes to activity, and you spend a lot of money on a gym contract and you never attend the gym because you don't like gym probably. This was me in the past. So it's more about finding something which fits into your daily lifestyle. This could be take the staircase instead of the elevator. This could be park a little bit further away. This could be walk a little bit faster with your dog, for example. There's so many opportunity, and you can see it already on that little picture, how it impacts your body, but definitely it impacts also the brain. So let's hear from Mariette.
Yes, thank you so much, Bia. It is a privilege for me to relate physical activity and how it boosts brain health. So when we think about the benefits of exercise, we usually think of aspects like better sleep, more energy, maintaining a healthy weight, stronger muscles, or a healthier heart. These are really all true, but we rarely consider the immediate effects that physical activity can have on the most important organ, which I'm very excited about, the brain. Through years of research done by neuroscientists, they have found that exercising, listen carefully, is one of the most transformative things that you can do to improve cognitive abilities such as learning, thinking, memory, focus, and reasoning, all of which can help you become smarter and live longer. If you want to improve your overall well-being and mental fitness, learning capacity, cognitive functioning, quality of life, peace, joy, and happiness, yes, I hope you are listening, you should exercise your whole body. In addition, be mindful of what you say, what you feel, and definitely what you eat. Love yourself and others. Indeed, listen to music. And remember to always keep growing. That personal development is key. So thinking about it from a holistic point of view. Holistic means to be focused on how separate parts of something are intimately connected together and do not truly function when they are apart. Therefore, to be whole and to be healthy, we must focus on what makes us human: mind, soul, and body. Liesel, take us away.
You know, listening to everything you shared now, Marie, I'm just in awe again of how amazing our bodies actually are. You know, exercise doesn't just help with physical improvement, but it has that added spin-off of emotional and mental well-being. But it's important to understand that the balance should be 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, and having 100% good and positive mindset about everything in life. Those three things need to work together. But unfortunately, people flip that on its head. And they focus on 80% exercise and 20% nutrition. And the sad part is you can't out-train a bad diet. You can't outrun your fork. So what you're eating, it's going to have the biggest impact. Exercise will only get you so far. And I always say to my clients, exercise is only going to enhance what you do right with nutrition. Exercise itself isn't the solution. But exercise is important. So like Bia also said, you know, it doesn't have to be joining a gym. What you want to achieve is elevating your heart rate for about 30 plus minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week. If that means you're popping roller skates on your feet and you're going roller skating down the road with your kids, fantastic. If that gets your heart rate up, great. If you love line dancing and that is your thing, go for it. You don't have to do the gym thing. If gym is your thing, absolutely do that. But whatever it is, just get moving. That's the most important part. And if you're sitting there thinking, I've never exercised, I hate exercise, I'm terrified of starting anything, I don't even want to venture out the house for exercise, no excuse. We have a solution for you because we've got a brilliant online community where we host live trainings on a Facebook group. The beauty about that is you only see the person hosting the call, no one else sees you. So you can do it in your PJs if you want, and you can have your moment there, and you can still get your exercise in. So again, no excuses. It's important to know as well, as you get older, you start losing muscle. What you don't use, you're going to end up losing. And Life again has developed a brilliant range of products. I've covered a couple of these products this evening already, the Herbalife 24 range, which is geared for people who are physically active. And by physically active, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to be an athlete and only if you're an athlete you can use these products. If you regard yourself as a weekend warrior, someone who just does a bit of exercise on a Saturday and Sunday, you're an athlete. Sorry to burst your bubble there. If you thought you're not an athlete, you actually are an athlete because you're being physically active, right? So you need to make sure that you're supporting your body, even if you're doing just a bit of exercise on a weekend. So Herbalife 24, the key is in the name there already. Again, Herbalife didn't just say, you know, we need to put together sports nutrition products, so let's just put together sports nutrition products and people will be happy with that. They put in Herbalife 24 because they look at what you need throughout the day, 24 hours. It's not just about what you need while you're exercising, because how the quality of your exercise and the experience you have when you exercise is going to be influenced by what you have before you start doing your exercise. So what you eat beforehand is important. It's going to affect how you perform during your physical activity. Then what you consume during your physical activity is important. I touched on a couple of those things as well. And then also importantly, what are you doing after? Now that you've done the exercise, you've done what your body needs, there's a little bit of damage that happens. You know, our muscle gets a little bit, especially if you're doing weightlifting, for instance, you have little micro tears in your muscles. So you need to get nutrients back into your body because there's no use doing the exercise and you're not supporting it with the right nutrition. So Herbalife focuses on pre, during, and post workout. And physical activity boosts your brain health. You know, and for me, from personal experience, I used to really be a couch potato. I played a little bit of golf and that was it. I now train 6 days a week, not because anyone is forcing me, because I love to train 6 days a week. I do 3 days of weightlifting, and I do 3 days of cycling, and then I have 1 day of active rest where I'm not doing a specific training program. And as I'm getting older or more mature, I don't even want to say the word old because I feel like I'm still in my 20s. I'm 46. And these products really support my active lifestyle, you know, and I can actually go and train. And I did my first August this year. And I had no idea how to put a nutrition plan together. I just followed the guidance that I got from Herbalife. I incorporated their products. And I had some of my colleagues who were here on the call this evening that came out and supported me. And I was just as amazed as they were, because after the race, I wasn't sore, I wasn't tired, and I was kind of waiting the next day to be sore and tired, and I wasn't. I was able to do a weightlifting training session the next day after cycling 109 kilometers for the first time. So again, this is how critical nutrition really, really is. So, you know, talk to your coach about these products, because there's a great way in which you can incorporate them to help you to lead a healthier lifestyle. So now we're heading on to our last topic, which is really one of the most important ones. They're all important, but this one is really, really critical, and that's sleep.
And I love this topic. And long time I was neglecting this and didn't care about when I go to bed and how I sleep. And only when I learned it, I paid more attention to it. And it's so critical. Not just when we go to bed, also what we do before we go to bed, and how we wake up in the morning. How do we sleep? Maybe we sleep 8-9 hours, but we still feel exhausted. And you can see again how it affects basically our health in many different ways. Just see it on the right hand side. If it goes to weight gain, if it is a risk for certain diseases, it's absolutely we can't neglect really that topic of sleep. Mariette, what is your take on this?
Yeah, thank you, Bia. But I cannot help but referring to 1:36 in the morning.
Insider joke.
Inside joke, yes. So sleep is really such an important part of our daily routine, as you mentioned, Bia. You spend about 1/3 of your time doing it. So quality sleep, not only quantity sleep, and getting enough of it at the right times is as essential to survival as food and water. Without sleep, you cannot form or maintain the pathways in your brain that let you learn and create new memories, and it's harder to concentrate and respond quickly. I'm sure everybody of us on the call tonight experienced these. We know that the brain chemicals are very involved in our sleep cycle. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that help the nerves communicate, as we have previously mentioned. They control whether we are awake and whether we are asleep, depending on which neurons, brain cells, they're acting on. So we get 2 types, neurons in the brainstem. So the brainstem is where the brain and the spinal cord meet. They produce neurotransmitters that keep our brain active when we are awake. Then we also get neurons located at the base of the brain, and these are responsible for us falling asleep. It seems these neurons actually turn off the signals that keeps us awake. So exciting. So what happens actually in the brain during sleep? We cannot re-emphasize that sleep is important to a number of brain functions, including how nerve cells, brain cells communicate with each other. In fact, your brain and body stay remarkably active when you sleep, believe it or not. Recent findings and findings on research studies suggest that sleep plays a housekeeping role. Isn't that beautiful? That remove toxins in your brain that build up while you are awake. So why do you need sleep? Sleep helps us in many ways. We need sleep for growth, to repair our nervous system, and also aid in nervous system functioning. It's indeed necessary for survival and also for overall well-being. So fundamentally, when experiencing poor sleep, nutrition is often overlooked. And this is what we want to emphasize tonight, either as the culprit or the cure. But the fact is, nutrition affects sleep quality. And in turn, if you are well rested and refreshed, you then definitely make better nutritious food choices during the day. If you are tired, you are more likely then to reach for fatty foods or refined carbohydrates for a quick energy hit. It becomes a vicious cycle of poor sleep and poor food choices, preventing a night of restful sleep. And this also relates to chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and obesity. And these all have been proven to decrease with inadequate sleep, or decrease with adequate sleep, increase with inadequate sleep. While not getting enough sleep increases your risk also of cardiovascular diseases and depression, as we have mindfully stated with all the other principles that we have mentioned. It is simple as eating smarter, sleeping sounder, and living healthier, which is often easier said than done. So research shows that a chronic lack of sleep or getting poor quality sleep increases the risk of disorders, including also high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, as we have mentioned, diabetes, depression, and most of all, obesity. Liesel, would you please mind to elaborate this time on the benefits of maintaining our nutritional levels for quality sleep? Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mariette. You did a great job explaining, why we need sleep and what happens if we don't get it. But a very key point that you touched on there is that oftentimes our poor sleep is directly tied to what we're eating on a daily basis. So I want to bring you guys back to the very first slide that we started with, where I spoke to you about your toolbox and what you're filling that toolbox with. So if you remember, I mentioned that there's certain things that you put in that toolbox through what you eat throughout the day that your body uses immediately. It uptakes it straight away and it uses it. But there's some of those nutrients that actually get stored, and they get stored for a very specific purpose, or when you sleep at night, because there are certain functions that your body can only perform when you are sleeping, and cell repair is one of those. But if you think about a critical component like protein, for instance, which is essential for your body to be able to perform cell repair, if you're not eating properly throughout the day, your toolbox is going to be either filled, it's going to be filled with things that your body doesn't need or can't use. So oftentimes, if you can't sleep, it's your body getting a little bit annoyed with you and trying to get the message to you that you didn't really do what you were supposed to do throughout the day. Now it's struggling to do what it's supposed to do at night when you're supposed to be sleeping and resting. So a great example I can give you here is a story that Bia shared with me recently, where she had a client who was doing great on her nutrition program, but she was really struggling with sleep. And Bia just made a simple suggestion and said to her, you know what, I think just mix a protein drink mix for yourself, 1 serving of that, and have it at night before you go to bed. Feedback, slept like a bomb. Slept like a baby or like a rock, whatever you want to call it. She slept well. So sleep quality improved by making a simple change, including a little bit more protein, and she was good to go after that. And that for me is amazing, because as a culture, I guess, or society in general, when we struggle with certain things, we always want to run to the doctor and we say, I can't sleep, and we get a sleeping tablet. And I'm not saying there isn't a space for medicine. This is not what I'm saying at all. So please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But I think if we can find ways to look at what we can do through our behaviors and through our habits to better support our bodies, a lot of the things that we tend to rely on, we actually don't end up needing. So I hope you guys are starting to realize how each one of these components that we've covered this evening all tie in with each other, and 2 products that I quickly want to share with you guys that Herbalife has. The one on the left is Herbalife Line. It's our omega-3 supplement. It's got a good quality marine oil in there. All the things like heavy metals that is a concern usually with taking an omega-3 supplement, that has been practically filtered out. Obviously, they can't say it's 100% filtered out, but it's pretty close to that. So it's a very pure form. I've used lots of different omega-3 supplements over the years, and they often tend to repeat on me, or they leave a fishy taste in your mouth. Herbalife Line doesn't do that at all. It contains a little bit of parsley that they mix in with it as well, so I think that also helps with eliminating the fishy taste. And then the product that you see on the right, and this is going to illustrate to you the caliber of people that Herbalife has on their nutrition advisory board that advise on the development of our products. So Nightworks, and the name already tells you this is a product for sleep time, this is for in the evenings, was developed by one of our nutrition advisory board doctors, Dr. Louis Ignaro. He's actually a Nobel laureate. He received the Nobel laureate for his research into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule, so it tells your blood vessels to dilate. So it tells your blood vessels to expand, so you have improved blood flow. Improved blood flow means you're getting more oxygen and nutrients transported around your body. And he developed this product for Herbalife exclusively. So it's patented to us. So Nightworks doesn't create nitric oxide in your body. It actually helps your body and stimulates your body to produce more nitric oxide. And with his research, he found that people often tend to have or suffer strokes and heart attacks during the night because that's when your nitric oxide levels are lowest. And that's why he developed this product to help people to support that function. But apart from that, as an athlete, what is one of the biggest challenges you have when you are training? Is that your oxygen levels start to drop. So using a product like Nightworks, it's a great add-in for me in my nutrition regimen anyway, because it really helps to support and it helps me with endurance. So great products. So this pretty much brings us to the end of the key components we wanted to cover this evening with you guys. So Bia, I'm going to hand back to you. Oh no, sorry, this is actually still my slide. I'm going to wrap it up for you guys a little bit and share a couple of key thoughts with you, because it's all good and well understanding these principles. We've looked at the physiological effects and we understand what the behavioral, hopefully we understand now what the behavioral things are that we need to bring in. But as I said earlier on, all of these things are easier than done. And, you know, it's easier when you can do it with people who are like-minded and are on the same mission as you. So this is where your Herbalife coach becomes a really important part of your journey. And we have an awesome community that you can plug yourself into. We've got a couple of community initiatives where we run little challenges where you get to learn on a daily basis how to incorporate and make those lifestyle changes, how to start making those behavioral changes so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And I think there's so much value in having a community who are on their own journeys as well, with different goals to yours, but they're all there rooting for you and helping you and wanting you to succeed as much as they are wanting to succeed for themselves. So people coming together as a community can really make things happen. So I actually want to throw this back to my colleague and my co-host on the call this evening. So Marie-Lize, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add from your side regarding
well,
this.
Liesel, first and foremost, I have to say that I'm speechless. I'm also learning so much from this call tonight, and I'm really appreciative of all the great feedback in the chat function. So yes, thank you, Liesel. How wonderful to discover the science of physiology, thinking and behavior. And then referring to the right-hand side of this slide that Bia is sharing, that elephant that managed to balance itself. So the balancing act indeed. And being part of our Herbalife community, as you have rightfully mentioned. So this all brings me to the exciting question, Liesel, of why Herbalife then? Please take the floor again. Back at you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marie-Lize. Bia, if you could grab that last slide for me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So as I mentioned briefly earlier on, you know, Herbalife has been around for more than 40 years, and they really are a global leader in nutrition. They've got the experience in working with independent distributors to provide you world-class products, snacks, and supplements. But it's not just about that. There's so much more that sits behind that, you know, and this is why I wanted to bring in the previous slides Dr. Louis Ignaro, so that you understand the caliber of people that Herbalife brings in to help with the formulation of these products. They are all experts in their fields. So they're backed by science, and they're also made with the finest ingredients, because it's all good and well saying, you know, we need proteins, carbs, we need fats, we need vitamins, minerals. But Herbalife wants to make sure that it's quality ingredients and that they formulated with someone's needs in mind. And when it comes to quality, Herbalife has a seed to feed process where they really focus on the effectiveness, the safety, the purity, and the consistency of all its products. Now, for me as an attorney, I'm not a nutritionist. What I've learned is through my own experience and being trained as a Herbalife coach, because we do get a lot of training from the company as well. But I know that if I take a canister of shake and I say to a client, this is going to be perfect for you as a meal for your specific needs, I don't have to worry about, was this manufactured in someone's garage in their backyard? Or where did these ingredients come from? Or I know that what I read on the label is actually what's in the product, and what's in the product is listed on the label. I don't have to understand all of that. I just know that it works and I can trust what the company gives, and that's a big thing. But we are also so much more than this, and I want to bring this back as a closing thought. We're a community. This is a big, big thing for us, because all of this information and all of these things you can apply will be of no effect if you don't have support. So hop in with our communities. We really are committed to helping people make a difference and empower you to achieve your goals. And Herbalife has gone through a whole rebranding thing, and they've just created this new slogan for themselves of living your best life. And I can't think of any better way to finish off a call like this and say, you can live your best life. Just ask for the help and the support. We are ready and waiting to make a difference for you.
Thank you so much, Liesl. Thank you so much, Mariette. This was absolutely amazing. Mariette, you said it already. The chat is overwhelming. The feedback we got at this stage. I could see one question which was related to the fiber. How much of the fiber can you use? And just to say it simple, you never can overdose. You just feel it basically how often you go to the bathroom or how your stool develops. So I will share there more information with you, Olivia, in person. Thank you so much for all the feedback we got. Mariette, Liesl, you did an incredible job in preparation. I just was a little bit the moderator here along the way, but you did really a tough preparation and putting all the slides together, presenting it that we can absorb it in an easy way. And the only wish I have actually to everybody who was listening tonight, if you liked what you heard tonight, then make it accessible to other people you know. We do these kind of calls. Every of our coach is also available to make small little assessments with groups. You can invite us to your company. You can invite us to your home for making a little talk. We can do it on Zoom. We can do it live, because we want to make really an impact in the community. When you just think on a small scale, the topics we got, and I got actually a lot of messages here on WhatsApp as well from people who are here on the call, and especially because of sleep. A lot of people struggle with sleep, and they are just used to use medication and just realize that this is not the magic cure actually. So all I can say is to finalize the call for tonight, but to get actually kickstart your healthy active lifestyle, to optimize your personal health and wellness goals, is really talk to the person who invited you tonight. They know who is your coach, if it was not your coach directly. Get your personal wellness assessment so that you have a chance to understand where's your specific body needs. Maybe you don't need to step in all the 7 steps. Maybe it's just one little fix, and obviously then everything functions a little bit better. So thank you so much for joining the call, being on the call tonight. Thank you so much for all your feedback. We really appreciate you. And thanks again to Mariette and to Liesl. If you want to open your microphone, you're more than welcome. If you want to send some wow or applause, you're more than welcome. This is a community. We have fun together, and we can also give some feedback.
Thank you,
Eva,
Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bia. Well blessed.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. You were beautiful. You guys were absolutely stunning. Thank you.
And
you.
thank you, Neil and Bia. I just really salute my son, Marcel. He says really great and awesome presentation. Well done. He is my favorite hero, all-time favorite. So thank you, Marcel. And thank you to all the other people that gave us positive feedback. We are here for the community. Our passion is people, and we would love to enhance the science of physiology, thinking, and behavior. And that is our passion. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.